Coming up on Mountain News this morning, a body was recovered at Ratliff Hole after a teen drowned at the Pike County section of Breaks Interstate Park. And the U.S. House approved President Donald Trump's request to pull back on $1 billion in federal funds for public broadcasting.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning. Happy Monday to you, Mountain family. I'm Amelia Lee here on this July 21st. We're at 5:30 this morning, which means it is time to take a check of our weather with meteorologist Jim Caldwell. Jim, what is going on in this first alert weather day?
It's another first alert weather day as we expect more rounds of showers, thunderstorms to blast through the area. They could be strong, they could be severe, and they could also cause some flash flooding issues. We got a flood watch that will continue through the evening hours for the entire area, and there might be a little bit more that spills over into your Tuesday, though I do see a little bit of calming coming after that. Just gets a lot hotter around here. We're going to get that true sizzle going. But today, as far as that's concerned, I think what we're going to end up with is temperatures that will run in the 80s, very close to normal for this time of year. You're going to have that, and then you're going to have some showers, thunderstorms around. Notice it's a little warmer here across some of our southwestern counties, but you get here, you've got these low 80s and you've got some even upper 70s. Well, what's happening is I think we're going to get a better concentration of the rain through that area. I know it's just scattered, but I still think you've got a better beefed up chance for some of those showers and storms to pass through those skies. That's something we'll be watching very closely for you.
The Rowan County coroner has identified the teen shot and killed at a home in Moorhead yesterday morning. 15-year-old Luis Jackson Nanez Lopez was found dead in a home on West Sun Street. Police were called there around 2:30 yesterday morning. Another child was found with a gunshot wound. They were taken to the hospital. We don't have any additional information about them or their condition. After searching the areas, officers arrested this man. That's Gildardo Martinez. He's on your screen now. Police say he's charged with murder, assault, and attempted rape. The Rowan County Detention Center's website says he's also charged with public intoxication, disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, and fleeing police. The coroner says Jackson was getting ready to start his sophomore year at Rowan County Senior High School yesterday. The school put out a statement saying they're sad to lose one of their own. They described Lewis as a sweet child who worked hard to do his best every day. The school's office will be open all week from 8 to 3 for anyone who needs grief resources. The Laurel County Sheriff's Office needs your help finding a missing woman. Take a look at your screen now. That's Hannah Smith. She was reported missing Saturday and was last seen on Kentucky 30 in Laurel County. Deputies say she's 24, 5'5", and 200 pounds. They believe she could be with a man named Austin Brown, who drives a black Silverado pickup truck. If you know anything about Smith's whereabouts, you're asked to call the Laurel County Sheriff's Office. Deputies arrested a man after rescuing him from the woods in Laurel County. It all started just before 11 Saturday night with reports of a fight at an apartment complex near Kentucky 638. While deputies were on their way to the scene, they learned that the suspect fled in a white car. They found the car and tried to pull it over, and a chase started. Deputies say the suspect slammed on his brakes, causing a deputy to crash into him. The man left the car and ran into the woods. Deputies learned that the man's name, and then they called his cell phone. The man answered and told deputies that he wanted to turn himself in, but that he was lost in the woods. The London Laurel County Rescue Squad used the drone to find the man, and he was arrested. Michael Root Jr. is facing several charges, including wanton endangerment. A body was recovered at Ratliff Hole Thursday after a teen drowned at the Pike County section of Breaks Interstate Park. State park officials say they got a call of a potential drowning at 6:45 Thursday evening when the friends of 19-year-old Zach Mullins say he went under the water and never returned. Officials say multiple agencies responded to the scene, and the hopes of a rescue quickly became a recovery. And first responders pulled Mullins' body from the water after a nearly 3-hour search.
One of the hardest parts of being a first responder, I think, is having to break that news to a parent. I think on behalf of every agency that responded, our prayers are with the family.
Park Superintendent Austin Bradley says the area is known for its potentially dangerous rapids, and though the water sometimes appears safe for swimming, anyone near the water should be cautious of its currents. An investigation is underway after a man died at an abandoned mine in Breathitt County. The coroner says he was called to Old Mine Number 2 on Mineshaft Road Thursday night. 45-year-old John Mullins of Magoffin County and his cousin were reportedly searching for ginseng and yellow rice when they went in the mine. The cousin said Mullins started to come back out of the mine and there was a collapse. Mullins' body was sent to the state medical examiner's office. Bell County deputies arrested a Pineville man on multiple warrants. Deputies say 40-year-old Joseph Levi was arrested at his home on Limestone Road. He was wanted on several charges, including receiving stolen property for having industrial wiring from a coal mine area that was worth more than $10,000. He also faces drug-related and other charges and was served with failure to appear warrants from 2023. He was taken to the Bell County Detention Center. A Southern Kentucky roofing company was named in a substantial lawsuit seeking thousands of dollars in judgments. But the defendant named in the lawsuit says the plaintiff incorrectly named him when another company was actually to blame. The roofer, who was the victim of the mistaken identity, is based in Somerset. As WYMT's Phil Pendleton explains, the actual defendant has a similar name to his.
And I've got some other ones in.
Malcolm Meslam has had his own roofing business for 11 years. He believes most, if not all, his customers have been very satisfied with his work.
But we do good work. I guarantee everything I do for life. So I don't have anything to worry about there.
But he was shocked when a sheriff's deputy delivered a civil summons naming him as defendant in a lawsuit. We received our own copy, which clearly states his name, address, and business as Thoroughbred Roofing in the lawsuit, claiming negligence in removing or puncturing shingles without necessity or justification, among some other allegations. We found 14 lawsuits against his company, all filed by Kentucky Farm Bureau.
Something coming out like that with 14 or 17 civil summons going against a company that's public record with a small business, that's something that, you know, may not be able to come back from.
I spoke with an attorney representing Kentucky Farm Bureau this morning, and he told me that this was a big mistake. They say that because the actual company being sued has a name that's very similar to the one that's based here in Somerset. An attorney also called Meslam Friday morning, telling him that it was simply a case of mistaken identity and he was not being sued.
I don't know if they even apologize. They called me back late yesterday and said we're going to amend it.
Meslam says his customers can vouch for his work, but is concerned since the original suit was public record, he could face problems in the court of public opinion. In Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
The attorney representing Kentucky Farm Bureau says they're in the process of serving papers to the company that is the actual defendant. WYMT is not identifying the name of the company since they had not been served yet. Well, dozens of students and even some teachers likely cheated or were caught trying to cheat on state-required tests in Kentucky schools. That's the finding of a Lexington Herald Leader analysis of 1,249 testing allegations from 2022 until 2024. It shows there were nearly 200 more violations in 2024 than 10 years ago. Some students likely used cell phones, prohibited websites, and hidden scraps of paper to cheat. Well, doctors say before your kids go back to school, now is the time to make sure they're caught up on any vaccinations to prevent diseases. Some of the vaccines recommended are tetanus, chickenpox, measles, whooping cough, mumps, and rubella. Then in the fall, there will be seasonal vaccines to consider, including the flu and COVID vaccinations.
A very large majority of physicians and scientists still stand very firmly behind our traditional vaccines and our seasonal vaccines. It's the best way to keep kids safe and healthy throughout the school year.
Doctors say it's also important to continue checkups throughout the school year. With possible severe weather and heavy rain expected in the region, officials continue urging folks to be prepared. Our Neely Green spoke with a meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Jackson about this threat.
With many counties in the area under a flood watch, officials with the National Weather Service in Jackson are sharing the importance of preparing for flash floods.
As the event goes on, we're expecting soils to get wetter and kind of that threat for flash flooding to accumulate, as a way of putting it, because the more you rain, the wetter your soils get and the less rain that the ground can take.
Meteorologist Jonathan Marcus says there are tools online that give information and tips for preparing for a flood.
The biggest thing is making sure that you have a plan ahead of time when it's not raining. I highly recommend weather.gov/safety/flood. That'll walk you through flood preparedness tips, what to do before, during, and after an event.
Marcus added that receiving alerts is a big help, and having more than one way to get those notifications is not a bad idea.
We also want everyone to have multiple ways to receive warnings. If one of your methodologies fails, having a backup method will ensure that you are able to still receive those flash flood warnings, as waters can rise quickly when it's these types of scattered localized events.
It is also best to avoid floodwater because of the dangers it could pose.
We also want to make sure that people are avoiding floodwaters. If there is rushing water, not only can it sweep you away, but there's also likely dangerous debris, potentially animals like snakes, or even electrical wires that could present a danger to a member of the public.
Marcus says it's good to know ahead of time where flood-prone areas are, so you know where to avoid. And remember, turn around, don't drown. In Hazard, Neely Green, WYMT Mountain News.
As always, we do want to remind you to download that WYMT weather app to receive the latest weather information and alerts. Well, the U.S. House approved President Donald Trump's request to pull back $1 million in federal funds for public broadcasting. This will impact local affiliates of National Public Radio like WUKY in Lexington. WUKY General Manager Ryan Lane tells us the NPR affiliate receives about 13% of the budget from the federal government. The other 87% comes from donors, underwriters, and the University of Kentucky. Lane predicts the cuts will impact the radio station starting in October, but he says he doesn't foresee them cutting back staff.
I think this is a flex point for us where we could really focus on donors and people that support the radio station and going out and telling the stories of Lexington as we do already.
As a whole, NPR receives about 3% of its funding from the federal government. The CEO says some NPR member stations may cease operations because of the funding cuts. Congressman Hal Rogers voted to support the cuts and released a statement in June when it was first passed in the House, saying in part, quote, "This package is all about pulling back taxpayer dollars that have been spent on things like net zero cities in Mexico, electric buses in Rwanda, sexual reproductive health in Venezuela, and features stories on NPR about topics like queer animals. Taxpayers shouldn't be funding these initiatives."